During our class videos, you may hear our poets and playwrights use terms that are new to you. We have created a list of key terms and definitions that you can refer to at any point during our video lectures. This list is available on the Videos and Readings class page, where you can read it or download it as a PDF. If you would like to find and review these terms while you watch each class video, you can stop this video, go back to the Videos and Readings class page, and download the PDF. There you can play this video and each of the following class videos. If you have any questions about these terms, we encourage you to ask your teaching team in the weekly class discussions.
Sharon Bridgforth is a Doris Duke artist and a Creative Capital awardee. Her works include River Sea, Older Works, That Black Mermaid Man Lady Home Project, and she's the winner of a Lambda Literary Award. She has served as artist in residence at Brown University, the University of Iowa MFA Playwrights Program, the Theater School at DePaul, and Northwestern University.
Hi, I'm Sharon Bridgforth, and I want to talk about using the personal as a tool for expanding and deepening one's writing voice. So for me, first I want to give a context for what I mean by the personal. Specifically, I'm speaking within a context of an African-American idea of the personal, and that is that the I is always we. So the personal, in the context that I am speaking of, is about exploring the ways that we can be more deeply grounded, not only in our own identities and histories and strengths and voice, but in ways of using art in service of the collective. So Toni Morrison, Audre Lorde, Inazaki Shange, and others have written beautifully about this. So there's essays and things you can find out there about this. I think you can see it in the architecture of works by people like James Baldwin and Maya Angelou and Alice Walker and Langston Hughes and many, many others. So I guess to kind of get at it, what I'd like to do is think of it in three parts. So for me, the first part, and I think that for all of us, this can be a tool for not only deepening our artistic voice and grounding ourselves in using our voice as a way to be in service with our art, but also as a tool for healing. So I think people from many different backgrounds, many experiences all over the world know the power of the personal and use it, use the power of storytelling as a way to really incite transformation of all types. I think the first thing is to think of telling yourself the truth. So what is the truth that if you told this truth, you would change your own life? If there are certain stories and certain truths that are so deep and so packed inside of our bones and blood memory and life experiences that we don't even tell ourselves those truths. So I think the first thing is to ask yourself, what is the truth that I could tell right now in this moment, even if I don't share it with anyone, that would change my own life? And then I think the next step is to commit to telling yourself that truth in writing, without agenda, without saying that you'll shape it into anything, without sharing it, but just for yourself. I think a second step is to think of going another step forward with your truth, and that is to name yourself. So who are you? Where are you from? Who are your people? What's your first language or languages? What is the time period that your parents were born into? What are the circumstances of the life in the world that shaped them? There are a million questions that you can ask yourself to help unpack your identity. And inside of each story, each question that you might pose to yourself, each bit of unpacking is a wealth of stories. And you can do research. So maybe you don't know your blood parents, or maybe people in your family don't talk, but you can create a timeline for yourself. And I would suggest putting your parents in the center of that timeline, maybe say your mother's mother or your father's father, or you decide, you pick, maybe you do all of them, but put their year of birth in the center, and then go 20 years forward, 20 years back. And the question is, who were they born into? Who did they come here with? So who's their family? What was going on in the house, in the family, in the community, in the culture, in the country, in the world. So it's not that you're gonna write about every single thing, but you pick the things that maybe offer the most juice, the things that you are the most attracted to, the things that you feel the most curious about, the places where you discover passion. And you research. And for the things that you don't know, you decide and you research. And the question is, how did all of this inform, shape, and impact your parents, your story, your life, your identity? So, you could spend years on that. So that's a second thing. A third thing, I think, is to see what wants to happen. So what is the piece, or what are the pieces that want to come through you that get sparked through any of these investigations? So I think it's about following joy, curiosity, and passion. So as things come up, as curiosities happen, as authentic passion arises with the stories that you uncover and the information that you discover, take those threads and go with them and see what they want to tell you, see what they want to become. I think one thing that's helpful in this is to know or figure out what your creative process is, so that you can use your creative process to accelerate the work when you get to this point. So for me, music, biographies, autobiographies, documentaries, and conversations are critical to my process. So I just fill my life with things that have to do with whatever it is that I'm curious about, that I'm walking with, that I'm wondering what wants to happen through me with. So what wants to happen? What is your creative process? How can you accelerate the writing by amplifying your creative process? And then how can you help it become itself fully? So, for instance, for myself, when I think of storytelling, when I think of taking something that feels very personal and helping it to become itself, I think of my family as storytellers, and I think they are the best storytellers that I've ever encountered. So I looked to their examples for how to mine tools that I can strive to implement in my own creative process at this point of trying to shape something. So for instance, I think back and I remember all the parties in the kitchen and in the house, food's cooking, so you hear and smell food. There's dancing, there's laughter, there's music, there's crying, there's singing, there's praying. Somebody's lying, inevitably. There's prayer. There's a lot of things happening at the same time. And so as a writer, how do I make space for this full sensory rich environment to happen within the world of the people who are telling stories in my work? What are the tools that I already have from my own understanding of how stories are told, and how do I implement my art practice in the process of giving space to that on the page. So for everyone, it's different. I mean, maybe in your family there was silence. Maybe there wasn't dancing. That's, silence can be an awesome thing to work with on the page. How do you give space for a multidimensional, complex world for the people who are telling stories in your work as they walk forward and tell you what they want to be, as you hold space for and create what wants to happen through you. So that's what I got today. Have fun.